Okay. Welcome. Happy Monday. I think we're good. We're got some slides and we're recording, so we will get started here. Welcome to, oops, sorry. I'm losing my, welcome to Evergreen DD Intake and Eligibility Training Session. My name is Leslie Miska. I'm the Office of Aging and Disability Services Information Services Manager, and I will be leading today's training session. Next slide, please, Miranda. During today's training session, we'll cover the following topics: an introduction to Evergreen, the contact form, how to create a person record, the DD intake and eligibility assessment, offline forms, person history, how to do a general progress note, letters and docs, which are templated, and the case management acceptance form. Next slide, please, Miranda. Prior to this training, you should have watched the Evergreen microlearning videos. However, if you have not yet watched them, these brief videos are available on the Evergreen project website at maine.gov/dhhs/EIS/Evergreen. The videos provide training for the following topics: search, an introduction to Evergreen and the search process, and how to access person dashboards, staff, locations, and organizations. Dashboards. There are two dashboards in Evergreen. One is for you and the other is the person dashboard. The person record, where all demographic and personal information about the person is recorded. Health information, which has a comprehensive collection of all of the information such as allergies, treatments, medications, diagnoses, health insurance, etc. Queries and notifications, which are tools to help you manage your outstanding work or actions that you need to take in the system. Progress notes, tools to document free-form notes within the person's record. Attachments, important documents that are added to the person's dashboard or record to supplement information in Evergreen. Please note, we will not be covering all of this information today, so if you haven't had a chance, please be sure to go back and review the micro-learnings as a refresher. Or for those of you that have reviewed them, you can rewatch them as many times as you'd like. Next slide, please, Miranda. Participants have been added to this session in listener mode, therefore your line is muted. We do want to hear your questions though, so please use the Q&A button in your Zoom window menu to enter your questions throughout the presentation. And if time permits at the end of the session, I will try to answer as many questions as possible live today. Whatever questions we are not able to get to, I will certainly make sure that we take those questions back, get some answers, and post those out to you on our website, on our frequently asked questions page. Next slide, please, Miranda. Evergreen is split into two sections. There are the Evergreen person record, which is what we'll focus on today, and which is the portion of the system in which the EIS functionality is going to live. And then there's the Adult Protective Services side of Evergreen, which is where the Adult Protective Services reports are captured. And that's been live since June 2020. So today we'll focus on the person record. However, it's important to note that both sections share the Evergreen person record, which contains all of the relevant person details such as demographics, identifiers like the A number and social security number, health information, etc. Because the Evergreen person record is shared, Adult Protective Services and Public Guardianship Conservatorship staff will also have access to view and edit the data captured at the person record level. Next slide, please, Miranda. Some of the benefits of Evergreen include self-service help features, including the ability to reset your own password, the ability to upload attachments to the person record or the DD eligibility form, the ability to print forms as you see them on your screen using the global print feature, which is Control plus the P key, the ability to run role-specific queries to see outstanding actionable items as well as a few reports, an enhanced person record with centralized data capture For example, history, health information, the display of common data within forms rather than having to recapture that. Some examples are assigned case manager, program, some history items, health information, etc. Standardized data capture, which includes required fields, field level validations, and form or workflow business rules. The ability to complete the DD eligibility form in an offline mode, meaning that you can do that without internet connectivity, and a system that is both laptop and tablet compatible. Next slide, please, Miranda. My dashboard is the first page that the staff member will see after login. My dashboard showcases a search tool next to the Evergreen logo, a navigational toolbar along the top of the page, the white bar, which is I refer to as the persistent navigation, and a role-specific dashboard tiles. The tiles for the DD intake and eligibility coordinator are the announcements tile, which is the one in the upper left, which is orange. These are alerts that are posted by the information services unit and or FEIR vendor, and that will usually be about upcoming system outages for planned maintenance and that sort of thing. The My Notes tile, which is right below that. This is similar to sticky notes feature on your smartphone device, which you can then promote to a progress note if you have the ability, which you do. The My Tasks tile, which is in the middle and is similar to your Outlook tasks. You can create tasks for yourself, which can be reminders, or your supervisor can also create tasks for you. And then the messages tile on the far right, which is similar to email, but is contained within the Evergreen system and can be used for communicating with other system users, such as the community case management liaisons when you do the handoff for case management assignment. Next slide, please, Miranda. Before we begin looking at the individual forms and processes that apply directly to the DD intake and eligibility coordinator, we will look at the high-level workflow. Next slide, please, Miranda. The referral will come in, and the individual that receives the referral, that could be intake and eligibility coordinator, a supervisor, an admin staff, whoever it is that receives the DD referral, can create a contact form within the system. Once the individual has received, has provided consent to the assessment, then the DD intake and eligibility coordinator can search for the person record to see if it exists in the system. And if it does, they can navigate to it. If it does not, they can create a person record and then complete a DD intake and eligibility assessment. This can be done either online using internet access or offline. Then you'll capture any, once that's completed, you'll submit that eligibility form for review. Before you do that, you're going to want to add any additional person history, contacts, guardianship information, etc. Then you'll also submit that for review. The review will then be completed by the DD eligibility supervisor. And if the person is deemed DD eligible, then a case management acceptance letter will be created. And that will be done using the templated letters and docs section of the system. And then if the person accepts case management, you will create a case management acceptance form for that person, which will then be transitioned to the community case management liaison to complete the case management assignment. If the person is not DD eligible, then the letter for DD ineligible will be sent. Next slide, please, Miranda. When a DD eligibility referral is received, it should be captured in the contact form. Next slide, please, Miranda. The user will navigate to the contact form from the top level persistent navigation menu using the contact form icon, which I've circled in red at the very top center of the screen. Please note that this form is located at the system level because it is created before a person record exists. Once clicking on the contact form icon, the user will be brought to the contact form list page, which is in the background, sort of grayed out. From here, you will use the plus new contact form button in the upper left-hand corner, which I've circled in red and Rand is showing for you, to create the new form. Once you click on this button, it will pop up a modal like what you see in the center of the screen here. The required to save fields will have red asterisks to the right of the field label. And the required to submit or complete fields will have a vertical yellow bar to the left of the input field. For DD intake and eligibility calls, you will select the service area of DD and a reason of referral intake. And then this will give you the correct set of questions for your referral. You'll then fill in the contact type, which could be phone, email, walk-in, fax, or other. You'll provide the date of the contact. It will default to today's date, however, that is editable. You can add an optional comment. You will then select a diagnosis or indicate that it's unknown. So your options are autism, PDD, DDID, or unknown. And then you'll indicate whether consent was received from the person, yes or no, and whether they have a legal guardian, yes, no, or unknown. Or if they need protective services, yes, no, or unknown. It's important that you pay close attention to the consent received. If the consent is not received, you'd indicate no here, and you would continue to do your follow-ups until you receive that consent. Please note that a yes response will display an on-screen alert. Oh, I'm sorry, I've got a note from somewhere else. Then you can add any final comments and save. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that was correct. A yes response to does the person need protective services would present an alert letting the user know that they need to still call the APS intake line. Next slide, please, Miranda. Upon saving, the system will navigate the user into the form, and from here, you can use the toggle in the upper right corner of this content area to open the quick scroll menu. The quick scroll menu displays all the sections of the form, which in this case are DD referral intake contact form. For the contact form include contact form details, the fields which were pre-populated when you completed that pop-up modal, plus two additional sections, which are referral source and follow-ups. When I took this screenshot, I had already populated the referral source fields, which you can sort of see grayed out and circled in red in the back left-hand corner, upper left-hand corner of the screenshot. If you have not received consent or need to follow up on any other information before determining whether an intake and eligibility assessment will be conducted, then you can answer yes to the question of follow-up needed. Upon completing the follow-up, you can navigate back to the form and use the green plus add follow-up button to get the pop-up modal to display, which is what's pictured in the center of the screen here. And this is where you'll capture the follow-up details and then indicate whether another follow-up is needed. Next slide, please, Miranda. Once the consent has been received to complete the DD intake and eligibility assessment, the user should search for and, if necessary, create a person record. Next slide, please, Miranda. To create a person record, you should always begin with a thorough search to verify that the person record doesn't already exist. This will help ensure that we are not creating a duplicate person in Evergreen. You can complete a keyword search using the person's name in the quick search field and pressing enter on your keyboard. You may want to search on multiple spellings of the name as well, just to be extra sure that they aren't already in the system. Once you have determined that the person does not exist, you will use the plus add new person button in the upper left of the search results content area, which I've circled here, just under the quick search bar up in the upper left. And you'll use that little plus add new person button, and it will pop up the stepper to create the person. So in the center of the screenshot, we're on step 1. You are minimally required to enter at least a first name, last name, date of birth, and either the social security number or main care number, which is why that at least one identifier from the below fields is required, has the red asterisk, and there's like a box around those because you have to enter one or the other of those, as well as your first name, last name, and date of birth. And then you'll use the continue button to go to step 2. Next slide, please, Miranda. Step 2 will use the criteria you entered on the first step and return any possible matching records from the Evergreen system. Potential results will be delineated by a box with rounded corners. In this example, there were 8 possible matches. Each result will indicate how many and which of the 5 required fields from step 1 are matching to this record. In the first record of this example, there are 2 matching criteria, social security and last name, which I've circled down there at the bottom of that example. Please note, results will be displayed with the greatest possible matches at the top. For example, records with 5 matches would be at the top, and then 4, and then 3, etc. You can use the open record link to the right of each result to navigate to the person record if it is a match and you no longer need to create the person record, or if you want to verify before creating the record. Or you can use the continue button if none of the possible matches look accurate. Next slide, please, Miranda. In step 3, the system will use your original criteria that you entered in step 1 to match against the MIMS data, the Main Integrated Health Management System data. Just like in step 2, any possible matches will be displayed. In this example, there were no matches found. However, if there had been, I would have been given the option to link to that record, which would have created a new Evergreen person record using the MIMS criteria displayed and creating a database link that would allow MIMS eligibility, diagnoses, medication, and medical professional contacts to be continuously migrated to that record. Please note that even if you do not find a MIMS match when creating the person record, the system will auto-link any matching records that come across from the system each night. Next slide, please, Miranda. In step 4, you will be given the opportunity to make any final edits to the person criteria before using the Create button to generate the new Evergreen person record. Next slide, please, Miranda. Upon creating the person record, the system will automatically navigate you into that record. Once inside of the person record, you will see the green person record banner just below your top level white persistent navigation menu. The green person banner will include the system assigned person ID and the calculated age based on the person's date of birth just below their name. In this example, the person, Leslie Testing, has an ID of 733 and her age is 63. Please note that the primary language, guardianship conservatorship status, preferred name, and person status are all blank, indicated by the 2 short dashes above each label. This is because none of those data points have been added to the person record yet. You can scroll to see each section of the record, or you can use the toggle icon in the upper right corner of the content area to open the quick scroll menu. The personal information is pre-populated from the Create Person stepper, and you will find the green plus add buttons at the bottom of each section, which can be used to start adding content. Now I'm gonna have Miranda let me take over control here, and I'm going to do a little screen share and do a live demo for you. Hopefully you can all see my screen. I'm going to log in here as if I were DD Eligibility Coordinator. I am in a test environment, so bear with me. We may have some challenges, but hopefully not too many. So here I'm logged in as if I am a DD Eligibility Coordinator. My name is Dave Jefferson right now, and I'm going to do a search for my person record. And I want to go to Leslie Testing, and I'm going to go into the record here and show you how you can add a phone number. And I can indicate this is the primary phone number. And if I wanted to do an optional note, I could do that. Or if this is a text telephone or there's an extension, I can do that and hit save. And then the system here has saved my phone number, and it's indicating that this is my primary phone number. And I can always go back and edit this if I need to. I can open this toggle here so I can see all the different sections. So I'd also like to show you how in any of these you can add by using any of these green plus adds, and it will just pop up the modal and let you add. I'd also like to show you the health information while we're in here. So health information has some sections. I clicked on health information and it gives me this additional little flyout. And I'm going to show you how you can add a diagnosis. And in this case, you'd probably need to add a qualifying diagnosis. So you can see here, I already have a qualifying diagnosis, but I can go ahead and create a new one by searching for either by ICD code or description. Oh, it would help if I spelled it correctly, right? And we'll just use this one for the example here. So you do a search, you select the one you want, it will bring it in here. You click on program qualifier if it's a program qualifying diagnosis. If it's not, it's just a regular diagnosis, you don't check this box. But if it's a program qualifying, then you do that, and then you can indicate which programs this would qualify you for. And then you put in diagnosed by, and my fingers aren't typing yet this morning. It's way too early, not enough caffeine. And then you put in their credentials and then their diagnosis date. And then you indicate whether it's active or not. It's going to default to active for you. You can add an optional note if you want, and then you click save, and it's going to go ahead and save that as a new entry here. And then if you need to edit that record and indicate that it's no longer active or it's not a program qualifier, actually I should probably do that because that's not a program qualifier, then you can save it and it will update the record for you. I'm going to stop sharing and let Miranda bring our slides back. All right. So now that our person's been created and we've added our qualifying diagnosis and whatever demographic information we needed to, we can now create the DD intake and eligibility assessment. Next slide, please, Miranda. To create the DD intake and eligibility assessment, you'll click on the Forms and Plans icon in the green primary navigation menu on the left side of the screen. I've circled that icon in red, and the background appears white because I was clicked into that page when I took this screenshot. This icon takes you to the All Forms list page. Initially, there will be no forms like you see behind here. It says no form records available. You'll click on the plus new form button in the upper left-hand corner, and it will open a pop-up modal like what you see in the center of the screen. From here, you'll choose DD eligibility, which is under the assessments category. So you'll select the category of assessments and then the form of DD eligibility. And then you'll choose next to move to step 2, where you'll confirm that you are sure you would like to create the form. Next slide, please, Miranda. Upon creating the form, the system will navigate you directly into the form. The form will be in view mode as indicated by the gray bubble in the edit mode icon in the upper left-hand corner. The form status will be in progress as the content has not yet been populated, and the completion requirements will show an orange dotted circle indicating that there are required fields which need to be filled in order to submit the form. All sections will default to collapsed like you're seeing here in the screenshot, and you can either scroll and open each section individually using the right-facing caret icon next to each section header, like I've circled next to the referral section, or you can click to expand all using the expand all icon. You can also click the toggle icon in the upper right-hand corner of the central content area to open the quick scroll menu. Once open, you can click on any section label in the quick scroll menu to be automatically taken there. Next slide, please, Miranda. Once the form has been created, you can use the appointments widget icon in the form menu to add the assessment meeting to the person's appointment calendar. After clicking on the appointments icon, the system will open the appointments modal, which is grayed out behind our new appointment modal. From here, you would use the plus new appointment meeting button to get the create modal, which is displayed in the center of the screenshot. In the create modal, you will select your category. In this example, I selected meeting, which is what you'll want to do for your DD intake and eligibility meeting. Other options include primary care, dental, vision, specialist, or other appointment. Then you'll provide a subject, which in this case, I've indicated DD intake and eligibility. You'll put a meeting date, a meeting start and end time, a meeting location with business name and address, and any notes, and then you'll save. Next slide, please, Miranda. After adding the appointment to the calendar, you can begin populating the form by clicking the edit mode icon once. That will then set the form into edit mode, which is indicated by the orange bubble in the edit mode icon. Beginning at the top of the form, you will enter the referral information, which was initially captured in your contact form and includes the referral type, receipt of consent, date of consent, and referral date and source. Then, using the page navigations at the bottom of the screenshot, you can simply save the page you are on, or you can choose Save and Next to keep moving through each section. Please note that the arrows should only be used to move throughout the form if you have not entered any content which needs to be committed to the database. If you've added content on this page and you use the arrow button, you will lose that content if you have not chosen the Save button or Save and Next. Next slide, please, Miranda. In the guardianship section, you will have radio buttons which also offer a clear button, like the one shown to the right of this guardianship verification question. This will allow you to remove a response if you accidentally click in there and you weren't ready to provide this response. Next slide, please, Miranda. In the school education section of the assessment, you will find a conditional question related to the person's current school status, as well as a multi-add list option for adding as many previous schools as needed. Next slide, please, Miranda. If the response to "Are you currently attending school?" is yes, then you will be presented with the conditional questions displayed to the left of this screenshot, including the name of the current school and the current grade level and the anticipated graduation date. If the response is no, then you'll be presented with the conditional question displayed to the right, which is the highest grade completed. Next slide, please, Miranda. Regardless of whether the person is currently attending school or not, you should capture all of the previous schools that the person attended. To do this, you will select the +Add Previous School button to get the pop-up modal for populating the first field set. Then you will use the plus and the minus icons in this section to remove or add more previous schools. In this example, I added 3 previous schools. So you can see I put in an elementary, a middle school, and a high school. And I could use the plus icon to add another school if there was a post-secondary education, or I could use the remove if I had accidentally added another row and didn't intend to. Next slide, please, Miranda. On the special education section, there are 2 yes/no special education questions. Each of these has a corresponding text field, which will accept up to 10,000 characters. A yes response to "Have you ever had a psychoeducational evaluation?" will require content to be added to the evaluation details text field, where the note field associated with the special education 504 plan question will still be optional. Next slide, please, Miranda. In the psychiatric psychosocial service history, which is similar to the special education questions, there are 2 yes/no questions, and they also have corresponding text fields for capturing any evaluation details. These fields will be required for yes responses. Next slide, please, Miranda. The last section of the form is the intake paperwork section, which includes a single yes/no question about whether the intake documents have been discussed and provided to the person. So you'll still provide the same intake packet that you're currently providing to the person, and you'll indicate that they've received it by entering yes here. Even after answering that question and saving, the completion requirements will still show the orange dotted circle indicating that there is an outstanding requirement. In this screenshot, I have opened the completion requirements menu, which shows that the intake paperwork question has not been saved to the database and that I am required to upload the acknowledgement signatures as an attachment. This can be done by clicking on the attachments widget or icon, which is circled in the upper left of this screenshot. Next slide, please, Miranda. Upon clicking on the attachments icon, the system will open the Add Attachments pop-up modal, like what you're seeing here in the center. From here, you would click on the plus new attachment button to get the new attachment modal, which is being displayed in the center of the screenshot. You'll select the green Choose File button to search for the file with the wet signatures, which you had previously scanned and saved to your device. In this example, I uploaded a file called Evergreen-training or _training _attachment.docx. Then you'll select the acknowledgement signatures category. This will allow your form to realize that you've uploaded the wet signatures. There's another option under category for additional DD eligibility documents. That can be used if there are other documents besides the wet signed acknowledgement that you'd like to attach to this form. And then you can fill the remaining required fields before saving. Next slide, please, Miranda. After all of the required fields have been populated and the signed acknowledgement attachment has been uploaded and saved, the completion requirements will display all green check marks like they do in this screenshot. You can now click on the status dropdown and use the submit option to set the form to pending review status. The close option should only be used if the form was created in error. That will effectively remove or delete the form from an in-progress status. Next slide, please, Miranda. Once the assessment has been submitted for review, it will show up in the DD Eligibility Supervisor's pending review query, where they can click to navigate directly into the form and change the status to start review. Similar to all other forms similar to all other forms, all sections will be defaulted to collapsed, and the supervisor can use the expand all button to open them all at the same time or manually open one at a time if they prefer. The supervisor can also use the toggle icon in the upper to open the quick scroll menu for more efficient navigation. Next slide, please, Miranda. Upon selecting Start Review, the form status will change to Under Review, and the completion requirements will update to reflect the orange dotted circle, indicating that there are fields which need to be populated in order to complete the form. A new section will also appear at the bottom of the form quick scroll menu called Eligibility Determination. This section is where the supervisor will document either DD eligible or not DD eligible. If the program qualifying diagnosis has not already been entered in the health information section of the person record by the coordinator, then an alert will display like the one that you're seeing in the center of the screenshot, indicating that no program qualifying diagnosis records were available. With a yes response to the question, does the individual have a qualifying diagnosis, the system will present a message like the one in the zoomed box at the bottom of the screenshot. This message says, please ensure the qualifying diagnosis has been added to the person record. And it's followed by an Open Diagnosis button, which will open a new browser window that takes the user to the health information section, which I previously showed you during the demo, where you can add the diagnosis in the diagnosis submenu of the person record. Next slide, please, Miranda. After capturing the qualifying diagnosis, if necessary, the supervisor can indicate whether the diagnosis began before the age of 18 and provide the evaluation details. The zoomed in box in the center of the screenshot shows the list of evaluation types that you can choose from. And then an example, in the example of adaptive functioning evaluations, you would then select from another set of values after that. There are corresponding pick lists for both IQ evaluation and mental health evaluation. So your evaluation types are adaptive functioning evaluation, IQ evaluation, or mental health evaluation. And in this screenshot, I've showed you the submenu for adaptive functional evaluation, which is Vineland, Fairview, developmental scales, Collar, Asusa scale, Alpern, Bowles assessment scale, and other. And then if you had chosen IQ evaluations, you would get WISC, WAIS, Stanford, Binet, Cattell, other. If you'd chosen mental health evaluations, you would get Autism Spectrum Rating Scale, Gilliam Autism Rating Scale, Pervasive Developmental Disabilities Behavior Inventory, and other. The supervisor can use the minus and plus buttons to remove and add as many evaluations as needed, similar to the schools. Next slide, please, Miranda. Once all the required fields have been populated by the supervisor, the completion requirements will display green check marks as shown here. The supervisor can then use the status dropdown to select either DD eligible or not DD eligible to match the selection that was made within the assessment. Next slide, please, Miranda. A selection of DD eligible will change the assessment status to DD eligible with the date and comment entered by the supervisor. This assessment status change will trigger the system to update the person status in the green person record banner to populate that with DD eligible as well. Next slide, please, Miranda. The DD eligibility assessment form is one of two forms which can be checked out for completion without internet access. Next slide, please, Miranda. The offline feature allows the user to complete a form or assessment without internet access. While at the office or another location that has internet access, the DD eligibility coordinator should navigate to the DD eligibility custom list page to check the form out. The custom list page can be found under the filter or upside down pyramid hamburger icon in the upper right-hand corner of the Forms and Plans list page. From here, you'll click on the ellipsis icon next to the assessment you want to complete out in the field and select Check Out. The system will then present a confirmation pop-up modal like the one shown in the center of this screenshot. The very first time that the user ever checks out a form for offline use, they will receive the Create Encryption Key pop-up, which is shown inside of the black box at the bottom of the screenshot. You'll only see this once, the very first time you ever do an offline checkout. The encryption key is needed to access your offline forms. The key or the password will be set by you and currently has no expiration and therefore will be valid until it is ever reset. So this is a password that you'll need to remember because this is the password that you'll always need to access your offline forms. Currently, this key can only be reset by the FEI help desk. So if you lose your encryption key or you forget your encryption key, you will have to contact the FEI help desk and ask them to help you reset that. Please note that once the encryption key is initially set, you will no longer see that box pop up. You won't need that in order to do the checkout process. Next slide, please, Miranda. After saving the encryption key, the system will display two success messages like the ones shown in the screenshot. You can tell that they're a success because they're green and they have the check mark. If it was an error, they would be red and they would have an X in the circle. The messages let the user know that the offline resource or the form has been downloaded successfully to their device or their browser in their device, and the record has been checked out. This locks the assessment from being able to be edited by any other users of the system while it's in the checked out mode. To complete the checkout process, the user will simply click Done. Next slide, please, Miranda. After completing the checkout process, the user will be automatically directed back to the DD eligibility custom list page, where the record will now display a lock icon next to the form ID, which you can see in that first result row. It has a little lock next to the form ID. This indicates that the form has been checked out. Once in the field, the user can open their laptop or tablet browser and click on their user icon in the far right-hand corner of the top level persistent navigation and select the offline forms option in the drop-down menu. Next slide, please, Miranda. Upon selecting the offline forms option, the user will be brought to the offline forms page where they will be presented with the encryption key pop-up modal like you're seeing in the center of the screen here. This is where the user will type their encryption key or password that they set the first time in this box, and then they'll hit save. Next slide, please, Miranda. After saving the encryption, after saving and entering the encryption key and hitting save, the system will present the user with the list of forms which are checked out. In this example, I only had one record checked out. However, if you were going out into the field to do several assessments, you could check out all of those assessments before you left your home office or the physical office and while you were in internet range, and you'd see more than one result here. But in this example, I just have the one. Above the offline DD eligibility record for Leslie testing, you can see the offline forms menu, which includes the options of opening the record, syncing the form, and checking the form back in. To capture data while in the field, the user should select the row of the form they would like to edit and then use the Open Record button to open that form or assessment in this case. Once the user is back at the office or at another location with internet, as indicated by the network status of online, which in this screenshot I was online, so it's green up there and it says network online at the top, persistent navigation, the user should then sync the form. Please note that sync can only be performed when the user is connected to internet, as this function does not display if the user is not in range of network connectivity. After syncing the assessment, it can be checked back in. Before clicking on the profile icon and selecting on online home. Next slide, please, Miranda. There is also an option to cancel the checkout if needed. Please note this should only be done if the form was not used in the offline mode, as this will break the lock without syncing the offline version of the form to the database. So only use cancel if you truly didn't collect any information. If you did collect information in the offline mode, then you should use sync and check it back in. Next slide, please, Miranda. After submitting the DD eligibility assessment, the eligibility coordinator may have additional person history and or progress note content that they would like to add to the person record. After completing the eligibility determination, the coordinator or supervisor will want to use the letters and docs module to populate the appropriate letter template to print and mail out to the person. I am going to share my screen again. And log back in as Dave Jefferson. And I'm going to my test environment catch up with me. That's that one. Get that to go away. Navigate back to my person record. And I'm going to show you where on the person record. Oh, I guess I'm not. Let me log out really quick. Log back in. Update my notes. And show you how to enter history. So history is in the person record level and it's on this left navigation. And once you click on it, you can use this plus new history and you can select one of the top 8 Charting the Life course domains to capture your history. So if it's a health and wellness item, you can select that category and then it will present to you the appropriate subdomains for health and wellness. This data, as it's collected in this format, will be helpful for the assigned case manager or care coordinator, because all these history items that you become aware of during your assessment and capture on this person record will display in the comprehensive assessment for that case manager, so that they can see that as they're completing that comprehensive assessment. And you can put whatever the item is in here and hit save, and then it will create a record. And you can add as many different history items as you become aware of during your assessment. You can also create a progress note. So you can navigate to the progress note area and you can capture a progress note, a general progress note about the completion of the assessment. And it will default to today as the activity date. That is editable. You can put whatever content you need in here. And then you can indicate the contact type. So like this was an in-person visit or a meeting. You can say how long you spent on that assessment. And then you can hit save. You can say whether it's billable or not. You can indicate what you were doing there. You can call this a visit. Actually, we'll call it other, and we'll call it the intake assessment. And then you can save, and it will, because I selected in person and you were in person with that person, or if you selected virtual video meeting, then it will present you this third option of assessing the person's safety. So if you observe any factors affecting vulnerability, you can select as many of those as you want, or you can say none apply. If you select, or if you observe any factors affecting safety, then again, you can select as many as apply, or you can say none of the above apply, and then hit save. And then it will bring you into your progress note here, which you've just collected through the modal. And because I said that there were factors affecting safety, it's telling me that I should probably notify the appropriate authorities. And then it also presents for me this exploration discovery section. So anything that's not history, it's something current that the case manager might need to know about when doing the person-centered planning process, you can add that here at the bottom of your note. And again, it's going to follow that same domain structure. So you can choose home and housing, living arrangements. If it's a goal that the person wants to move into a different place, you can say new residence. And you can say that the person indicated that during your session. It will default to a start date of today. If there's an end date for this goal, like they say they want to get in there by, June, you can add that and save. And now this item is available for the case manager or when they run the exploration and discovery report, which they will run before doing their comprehensive assessment and person-centered planning process. And this allows them to have all that information up front. So if you capture anything current that's a goal or strength or barrier or that type of information, I can just show you again, a strength, goal, barrier, a risk, something that's important to the person or important for the person, something that's working or not working for them, then you can capture that under exploration and discovery in your progress note. And you can add as many of these as you need to using this button. Then you'll also use the letters and docs area of the system to create the eligibility letter. So you'll click on the new letters and docs, and there are several letters under the intake and eligibility section, which are templated for you. And you can see all of the different ones here: case management acceptance form, decline of intake form, eligibility resubmission letter, fillable, eligible, not eligible, notice of delay, psychological referral, and service plan. So you can use whichever one's correct if they're eligible, and you can, and that's not working for me. I just found a little bug, but then you can indicate the, oh, actually, sorry, there is no program necessary, I don't think, for this one. create the letter. And it looks like maybe that's not working in our test environment, but this is where you'll get your templated letter. And I'm going to stop screen sharing and let Miranda give us our slides back. All right. After sending out the case management eligibility letter, the coordinator or supervisor should create a case management acceptance form to track the send of that letter. And it will track the date the letter was sent, any follow-ups that were completed, and the person's response. Next slide, please, Miranda. To create the case management acceptance form, the user should navigate to the All Forms list page by clicking on the Forms/Plans icon in the green primary navigation and using the plus new form button in the upper left-hand side of the content area. You will then get the pop-up modal that you see in the center of the screen, and you'll select the category of assessments and the form of case management acceptance form. Next slide, please, Miranda. After clicking Next, the user should select Section 13 from the program dropdown, which is currently the only selection available, and then you'll hit Save. Next slide, please, Miranda. Upon saving, the system will navigate the user into the form, which will be in a status of in progress as it will not yet be populated. Just like other forms, all sections will be defaulted to collapsed, and there will be an expand all option as well as a toggle icon, which will display the quick scroll menu. The first section of the form will be system populated with an on-screen case management acceptance message like the one displayed in this screenshot. The user should then populate the date that the eligibility letter was sent. Next slide, please, Miranda. If no response has been received within 30 days, the coordinator should navigate back to the form and add the 30-day follow-up details by selecting the type of 30-day, entering the date of the follow-up, and adding any comments related to the follow-up and then saving. This process can be repeated for the 45-day and the 60-day follow-ups by using the plus icon in the follow-up section to get a new set of blank follow-up fields. Next slide, please, Miranda. At any time after the eligibility letter is sent, the coordinator is, if at any time after the eligibility letter is sent and the coordinator is unable to make contact with the person, the case management acceptance form can be set to a status of penned. This will allow for the additional time needed to obtain a response. This can be done by clicking on the status dropdown and selecting penned. Similar to the other forms, close should only be used if the form was created in error and you truly want to close it out and it's not going to be completed. And complete should only be used once you've received a response from the person. Next slide, please, Miranda. Once contact has been made, the form status should be updated back to in progress by clicking on the pended status and selecting the resume option. Next slide, please, Miranda. If the person chooses to decline services, then the case management selection should be updated to reflect that case management was not accepted by the person or guardian, the date that services were declined, and any comments before saving. Next slide, please, Miranda. If the person chooses to accept services, then the case management selection should be updated to reflect that case management was accepted by the person guardian, the date that the services were accepted, that case management equals yes, the type of case manager that was selected, whether that be a state case manager, a community case manager adult, community case manager child, or community case manager behavioral health, the case management agency chosen, the case manager if known, and any comments before saving. Next slide, please, Miranda. Once all sections have been populated, the form can be completed by clicking on the status dropdown and selecting complete. The eligibility coordinator should then use the messages feature to select the community case management, to let the community case management liaison know that the case management acceptance form has been completed and the person assignments can be made. Next slide, please, Miranda. So we have ample time left. As you can see, I didn't test this out before posting the length of this training, but there are lots of next steps. So after this session, I will send out, well, some of you on the call probably already have access to our test environment, which I did my demoing from. If you do have access to that test environment, you can continue to use that test environment and the person record that was assigned to you to test. I will also send out access to our training environment, which is our training sandbox. It's a separate environment similar to our test environment, just has less data in it because we have not been using that. But I'll send out logins to everybody that participated in this session, or someone will do that, whether that be me or Nancy or someone on the project team. Will send each of you your training login. And then you can train, test around in that training environment as much as you'd like as well, using the record that gets assigned to you there. So either environment is totally fine. You can rewatch those informational webinars. If those are of interest to you, you can watch or rewatch your micro-learning videos. You can rewatch this recorded training session as many times as you'd like to while you're playing around in those environments. You can read all of the FAQs that are out on our project website, and we will continue to update that with questions that have come in from this session or other informational webinar sessions. You can, if it makes sense, you can tie up any loose ends in EIS. So if you have intake assessments that are in process, you can work to get those finished up before we migrate. We will migrate intake assessments that are in process, but the more that you can complete, the better. That will ensure more successful migration. If anything is in progress that you can complete before migration, it should be done before 5 p.m. on Friday, January 12th. That's when our cutover will begin. EIS will become in a locked down mode as of 5 p.m. on January 12th. And we'll do our deploy over that weekend, and then EIS will become read-only for users again on January 16th, 2024, and Evergreen will become available for use on January 16th, 2024 at 8 a.m. There will also be some question and answer sessions offered by FEI in January. There'll be some additional training sessions. If any of them make sense for you, you can sign up for register for those and participate or listen to the recorded playbacks if you're just curious or interested. And you can email any questions at any time to evergreen.dhhs@maine.gov. Nancy Kitchen is manning that email address for us, and she will help make sure that your questions get responded to, either respond to them herself or work with Lisa Merrill or myself to get responses to those. And it does look like yeah, thank you, Miranda. So we have reached the Q&A section. It does look like I have one question. If anybody has any questions, please use the Q&A icon in your menu and feel free to ask questions. Any questions that come in, we can respond to right now, or if you don't want to ask them live, you can email them to us as well. So Pam asks, so can the consent be verbal from the person, or does it need to be ROI? Yes, it can be verbal, Pam. Are there any other questions that I can respond to today? we've wrapped up in record time. I truly thought it was going to take me a whole lot longer to get through those slides. I hope this was helpful and informational, but I can't stress enough how important it will be for you to get in and test around yourself. So again, those of you that have access to the test environment, please feel free to start testing. Those of you that don't, you will receive a follow-up email with an assignment, participant assignment, so that you can start playing around in the training environment. You'll have the URL and how you log in. Please make sure if you're playing around in either environment that you do not reset the passwords. That's extremely important that you don't reset the passwords. They are shared passwords. And please make sure you only modify your person record, but you can feel free to do whatever you would like with the person record that's assigned to you. That's yours to play around with and navigate the system. Also, please be aware that if you're accessing from the training environment, you will have more access than you will in the live environment. That is because in order for it to be successful, we did have to give you, your role, your supervisor's role, maybe the case manager's role, so that you can have access to keep things moving and do everything in the system. So please keep that in mind as well. But if there are no other questions, we can certainly adjourn for today. This recording and the slides from this recording will get posted for you to be able to play back on our project website, and we'll let you know when that's out there as well. So thank you guys so much. Thanks for joining me at 8, and glad it was quick. And again, if you think of any questions after the fact, please feel free to reach out to us.